For more music, check out our Spotify and YouTube playlists. Enjoy.
Just What's going on, everybody? All right, we're going to get started real quick. This is going to be a short one just because it's been a long day for me and the debates are starting. So bear with me here. Let's go over to desktop. Can everyone hear me? We're good? What's up, Ivan, man? How's it going? How's it going? All right. Let me close out. Bear with me one second. There we go. All right. Alrighty, how's it going? How's it going? For let's see. Oh, we're missing a couple people. All right, we're gonna make this. Bear with me here. We're gonna make this pretty easy. I'm gonna go through some of the stuff that just recapping some of the stuff that I looked at, that I got into, and if bear with me here. Oh, come on. Zoom's acting up on me. Hold on. All right, no big. Whatever, we'll let it go. All righty, here we go. Man, I don't know what's been up, but Zoom has been just killing me. Yeah, this is recording. Yeah, it's recording. And I'll tell you what, if you guys want, I will throw in the chat. So when I record them, I just throw them on my YouTube channel. And here, hold on. Let me go to my YouTube channel. I'll post my channel in the bear with me here. I'm going to post the YouTube channel in the chat, so you guys can just get them there. I post everything in there. All righty. All right, perfect. Here we go. All right, let's get started. So, I mean, everyone should know it's NFP week, right? Non-farm payroll. So I'm looking forward to some good stuff coming. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, this is the only thing I'm worrying about down in here, right? We are tonight. We do have some Euro stuff coming out, right? Some speakers. The debates are tonight. That's going to potentially move the market. So really, there's nothing other than some ISM manufacturing data that's going to move indices on Thursday, but that's about it. So I'm really gearing up for NFP. I'm probably, depending on what happens, I'm probably going to trade NFP, but we'll kind of go from there. All right. I do want to. Where the heck does this thing keep going over there? I do want to just recap on a couple of trades that I did take. So we'll kind of get into it. All right. We can close that out. All right. So I've really been honing in on my Wyckoff, right? Distribution, reaccumulation, accumulation, and redistribution. And just to kind of go down the list of what I took, right? I'll break it down for you. This was probably the trade of the year for me. It happened last week on US 30. Which one was it on? Right here. All right. So it was a phenomenal setup, and I'll walk you guys through it real quick. Let me just go and pull up my Dropbox and my journal. I'm going to show you guys the charts that I was distribution, U30. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I'm going to open these up for you. So this was on U30, and again, what I'm looking for is a point of reference, a point of interest that I am trying to ultimately play off of. All right, I'm no longer just jumping into trades, right? And this was the trade that I took. So when we came into it, right, I was looking at this 4-hour candle right here, and I wanted to see some reaction, right? I could have just taken, the sell off of that, and if that happened, I wouldn't have been in the trade just because it would have missed my order. Um, but ultimately, what I did do was this, right? So higher time frame, right? We are in accumulation, all right? We were in accumulation, and I was looking for us to trade up into this area up here, which ultimately we did. This is the 4-hour candle that I was looking at. And then going from there, this was at what was it, at 7:13 my time, right? 7:13 in the morning. So pre-market, I was, again, I tell people, like, the easiest thing for me to do is I just box it out and I just start to play it along. So we're on the 1 minute time frame, right? Um, Clear distribution getting set up, right? I have my trading range that I've got set up, and you know I start to put things where I want them to be, and if it doesn't happen, then I just move on, right? It's not worth it. So the key thing for me is on the up thrust, right? Price doesn't need to create the minor sign of weakness. It's always a plus when it does break below the automatic reaction. All right. It just needs to trade into the lower end of the trading range. All right. Everything I've read, everything I've back tested, this makes it a high probability setup. Not to say that if it only came to right here and then came up to create the UTAD, that it wouldn't be a good distribution. It's not, and I'll show you a trade that I took that wasn't the case. But when I see this, it just gives me more confluence that we're doing the right thing. Okay, um, so from here, the next thing I needed to see was I wanted to see us break below this wick right here. All right, break below that wick, come up, create the test, and I was going to be taking a test at these 2 points. All right, these 2 points were my area of focus, a stop just above that, and then I was going to take it down. All right, that's ultimately what I was looking at. So there you go. You can see off of this chart. Now the last chart was at 7:13. This is at 7:25. So we're about 12 minutes later, and I got that right. I got the break of structure. Okay, you can see this wick came down, broke below this. That's all I wanted. I wanted to see that sellers were in control, and then from there, right, we have some imbalance. All right, and these are the 2 candles I was going to play off of. These 2 candles right in there. So off this entry here, okay, I just split my risk. I split my entries. I did 1/4% on this one, and then 1/4% off of this one with a stop above that. All right. So right off of this one here, this was a 9-point stop loss on U30, which is phenomenal. I really don't get them that close. And my first targets, right? My first targets were these equal lows down here, right? There's some stuff to the left that created equal lows. And those are my first targets for 200 points, right? Risking 9, you could see that's a 22-1. All right. But now I did have some lower targets that I was looking at. Okay. So ultimately we got that. We got both of my entries actually did get triggered on this. All right. I did have an entry up here. And so both of these got, they were entered. My stops went to break even as soon as we broke this right here. Okay. That was the area that I was looking to get. That would have been just about like 40 points between this entry here and getting to break below here. All right. Because I wanted to get that major sign of weakness, right? This right there should be somewhere like in here. We get that. We come up to retest our last point of supply, right? LPSY, somewhere in here. Typically, just looking at where, we started to see some supply points, it'd be somewhere around this top end here. All right. So just understanding what I was looking at, and kind of having that idea that, this is what I want to see. I know that price is going to break below here to get major sign of weakness, and then we will be trading up to a last point of supply before the drop, right? So ultimately, you can see that's what we got. This was at 8:51, right? So about an hour and a half later. At this point right here, that's where my stops on this entry and on this entry are at break even. And again, I was looking to get an entry off of here. It just missed, right? So I didn't get a third entry. But this is a clear last point of supply. Um, and then just price drops, right? So from initial entry, I'm sitting at 88 points in profit. And I'm just going to let it ride. All right. I'm going to let it ride. Again, I had the initial targets that I was looking at, right? The initial targets that I wanted us to get down to were these equal lows down in here. So at this point right here, this trade here, it's at a 16.5 to 1. And then ultimately, at these equal lows, it was at we'll just call it a 21.5 to 1, all right, off the top order. Those equal lows were taken. Now, I did hold it a little longer, and I'm going to show you where I did hold it to, right? So we can see, and I didn't catch the entire one to 81. I would have loved to, but when we dive into it, right? When we dive into this is the distribution. This was my entry right here off the smaller time frame. All right. And these were the equal lows I was looking at here. My next area of focus was this 15-minute candle right here. Okay. This 15-minute candle was my next area of focus that I was looking at getting into to start taking more profit off the table. And as soon as we crushed right through it at 2:45 p.m. my time, I just closed out. All right. So this was my total take profit right here. So it was about a 1 to 65. Again, the entire thing went for, I mean, if we held it for the entire thing, it was a 1 to 97. But I wasn't expecting that entire thing to go, right? Not only that, but I just didn't want to manage the trade anymore, right? I mean, this entire thing took, as it was, this took 7 hours. And for me to get the extra, I would have been in there for over a day on U30. So, I didn't want to do it. I was happy with my profits. Okay. So just going down my list of what I did trade, right? So UJ, if anybody was on Zach McDonald's session yesterday, I put this out there. I know a couple people were looking at this as well. UJ was a great reaccumulation. All right. And here I'll pull up. I will pull up the chart on UJ. UJ, the 28th. All right, bear with me here. All right, it's opening up now. If you guys have any questions, just unmute yourself. Just ask. All right. If you guys are having, if you're not seeing what I'm kind of showing here. All right. So UJ, we're just going to go over this real quick. Right. UJ, I was looking for. We had an H4 point of interest. Right. So I had an alert. Somewhere as we were getting close. I think somewhere in here is where my alert went off. Okay. And what ultimately I was looking for was some distribution in that area, right? So we started to see clear signs of distribution, all right? Again, one of my confirmations on that up thrust, right? I want to see it trade down into the bottom end of the trading range, the opposite end of the trading range. And then from here, right, my expectation is once we do that, we're going to create our UTAD, take all the liquidity out, right? That FU candle. I will look for some sort of structure to get broken, whether it's here or wherever it's at, and then take that test. And this is my entry right here, right? This is the optimal entry for me right here on this test. All right. So ultimately, that's what I was looking for. All right. You can see, again, this is the point of interest that I was looking at right here off the 4 hour. I have my daily range, right? Daily high, daily low. And now this is where things kind of got a little crazy, right? So the test was right here, and I got in on the test off of I think it was like a 3-minute, okay? And I wrote it down, and I actually broke even on this test up here, all right? But because we failed after this test, because we failed to take out this low, right, the break of structure, all right, because we failed to do that and we reacted off of this 15-minute candle, we had our creek here, right? and we jumped the creek. So as soon as we broke that, all right, we were no longer in distribution, we were in reaccumulation. Okay. So the fact that we were unable to create that major sign of weakness down in here and take out this low immediately confirmed that we were in reaccumulation. All right. And one of the hardest things that I had to deal with mindset wise was, man, I was up probably like 6 or 7% on this trade here. And now I'm at break even. Now, ultimately what I ended up doing was as soon as this candle right here happened, I ended up taking 50% of my position off, because the way I'm looking at it, this could be a false break. We can then come down, take out the low, and that would suffice for the distribution, and then come up here to like an LPSY, right? And then I would just take more risk on here. So I'd have this position here, right? And then I would have a second position, okay? But ultimately, this right here, all of this price action here confirmed that we're now in, a reaccumulation phase. So it's just simple. Wait to set up and get in on the second, right? So this is the candle I was looking at. It was a 30-minute open. It was these two candles right in here that I was looking to get into. Ultimately, we'll talk about that. All right. Ultimately, this was the play, right? You can see this was the 15-minute candle, right? Or the 30-minute candle, but I ended up playing off the 15 right here. This was the first entry that I took, okay? The first entry I took. The confirmation, right, that we were going to go higher this was the break of structure that I wanted to see. I wanted to see us take out this right here. As soon as we did that, the next play, and I know a couple of people took this as well, was off of that candle right there. It was a 4, we'll call it with the spread, like 5 pip stop loss. All right. And my first targets were going to be right here. All right. These were my first targets, these relatively equal highs. All right. And it was a little bit of a pain. You can see we did get pretty close on the first go round. I did close out, I think maybe like a quarter of my position on the engulfing candle. So overall, I was looking to take this to 106,300, where we had some equal highs. Now, I was looking to make a second entry in this area here, but time of day sucked, right? You can see this is happening around 1800, which is 6 p.m. my time. So we're like in that Asian session right in here. And I really hate trading UJ in Asian session. All right. It is what it is. So I didn't take this trade. Now, ultimately, I was looking to get into a second trade, right? If price did come back into Rinse Turner here, but it didn't come back. And ultimately, there we go. Ultimately, it ended up hitting take profit, which was right up here at 105.70. All right. Now you can see, like I wrote a note for myself on the journaling. I did close at the London Open. This was at London Open. Because I was starting to see, and if this is one of the things you can really train your eyes on, when you start to see like consolidation, all right, in perfect, some really nice price action, typically it turns out to be a schematic of some sort. So as soon as I started to see the schematic being built, I closed out. I was like, yeah, we're in distribution. If anything, I can get in on a reaccumulation to take it up, because I really did want to get up into this 15-minute imbalance up here. All right. But the confirmations for me to take this up were, again, we failed to take out this low right here on this, right? This should have broken that low to come up, create an LPSY, and then we'd go down. The fact that we didn't, and then we jumped the creek, created some liquidity up here, came back to mitigate out of this candle right in there. All right. And then obviously we just mitigated out of everything else. So this was a pretty clean setup, all right, on UJ. I'll remember the last slide. Okay. And this was just more confirmation. I'm not a big indicator user, right? But I started to see some divergence, right? So this indicated that, we were going to come down a little, and it did. I think it ended up coming down to I had an order somewhere around in here that I was looking to take it up higher. And I mean, it came down to like 45 or 50, somewhere in there. And then ended up just starting to distribute again. It's sideways. It's in consolidation. It does look like it's going to distribute, right? You can see it right in here. But ultimately, that was the play. Now, I was looking again to get into a trade up here. That's no longer the case because we did take those equal highs out. All right, we did take the equal highs. And if I come to this UJ, you could see what it's looking like, right? So you can see that. Come on, there we go. Now, this isn't perfect yet. If we go to the 30-minute, it looks a little cleaner, right? But we do have our preliminary supply, preliminary supply. We have our buying climax, automatic reaction, a secondary test. So I'm not doing anything with this until, I want to see a secondary test come down in here, right? Create a UTAD. UTAD needs to trade down into the lower end of the trading range, right? And then we create a upthrust after distribution, right? Do some sort of break of structure, come up, and then we'll take it down. So that's ultimately what I'm looking for, right? On a schematic. So one of the things that I like to do is just sit there and box it out, right? I will once I see that, maybe during London, if we're down here, I'll put an alert up here so that I know when we create that upthrust. And then just play it off of that, right? So right now I'm just watching UJ from that point, okay? That was UJ. I will talk about this. I talked about it on, I shared it on Zach McDonald's session. XRP caught a quick little move. It was a nice little 30-minute distribution schematic on XRP because I'm ultimately trying to buy it from down lower here, right? I want to buy it from down in here. So I will play it off a 30-minute. Now, I did close out before the market closed just because my broker charges an arm and a leg for swap fees. So I ended up closing out somewhere in here. And it's looking more like this may be a reaccumulation, all right, because we failed to take out this low. You could see this right in here reacted off of that 15-minute candle. But I kind of started looking at this because right in here, you can see Swipecoin called to buy. Swipecoin called to buy here. And, they obviously they don't trade off schematics or anything. So I came over, I started to look at it, and I personally wasn't looking for the buy. I was looking for the sell. So I got into sell here. And I was trying to target down in here, right? A nice little hold number like 2340. This would have been almost a 6-to-1 on crypto. That's pretty good. I don't know if any of you guys trade like the Swipecoin calls, but most of those are like 1-to-1s. So, I mean, overall, this was a really nice, clean schematic, especially on the 30-minute. The confirmations for me, again, confirmations for me to get into this trade were very simple, right? So this is an example of where the U upthrust, right, did not trade down to the lower trading range, right? We did come up and we did sweep all of this liquidity up here, create that upthrust after distribution. But then we immediately showed signs of selling off by taking out these lows. So as soon as we broke this significant structure in here, that was confirmation for me. When I woke up this morning, I saw it, jumped into it right off of that 30-minute candle. Stop loss was just above this wick. And, like I said, I closed out probably right in there. It was right around, it was like 3 o'clock, 2:33 when I closed out. So I took about a 2.5-to-1 on it. Nice little setup so King, what I do is I just play a schematic, like here's a great example, right? Let's talk about like U30, right? Because that's the one I'm following on the higher time frame right now. Let me see if it's this one here. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you can see, right, US 30, and we can go to like the 1 hour. All right. On the 1 hour time frame, to me, this is accumulation. All right. The confirmation, and I was doing NASDAQ as well, right? Here, I'll show you NASDAQ as well, right? So here's the 1 hour on NASDAQ. All right. Um, we're in accumulation. I mean, we can even go to the 4 hour. The 4 hour would be accumulation as well. All right. The confirmation that we are in accumulation would have been that in our secondary test in phase B, we needed to trade up to this top end of the trading range, right? So the week prior when we were down here was an excellent buying opportunity for me, right? I did get into a buy here. I actually got into it off of S&P. Yeah, I got into S&P down here, right? So this is how I use the higher time frame with the lower time frame. So off a 5 minute, right? This was my buy off the 5 minute, all right? You know, this was, for all intents and purposes, this is the secondary test in phase B on the 4 hour time frame. And I know that in order for it to be a valid valid accumulation, we need to test the top end of the trading range. So I'm looking for smaller time frame accumulation. So on the S&P 500, you know, you could see we had clear accumulation. Now we did not have a spring, right? We did not get a spring. And unfortunately it sucked, but this is one of those things where you kind of have to look to see what all three indices are doing, right? The benchmarks against each other. So because the Dow Jones, when the Dow Jones was here, or I'm sorry, when we were at, you know, this time or this space in time, the Dow Jones had already created the spring, right? Where the S&P had not. So at this point I went ahead and I had a really nice, area that I wanted to buy off of. And I think it was, let me see if it was this 30 minute. No, I think it was a 5 minute. I don't remember the actual candle I played off of. I know it says 50% here, but I took whatever it was 50%. But yeah, I took 50% of whatever candle this was. Maybe it was oh, you know what? It was a 10 minute. That's what it was. I got crazy. I started looking at, that's what it was. So I took, yeah, so I play around with a lot of the time frames. So this 10-minute candle, I just took 50%, right? And you could see that was the play, right? And ultimately, what this ended up looking like was this. So I got in, stop loss was just below. So it was like 9 points was my stop loss, all right? And my targets were these equal highs up here, right? These were my equal highs. Those are my targets. And ultimately I caught that. So this was a nice little, almost a 13-to-1 ROI. But that's how I use the smaller time frames with the larger time frames, you know, the schematic. Obviously, I'm not going to trade off of a, you know, 4 hour accumulation, but what I will look for, you know, in this area, right, I'll look for a buy. And same thing on NAS, right? I was looking for, you know, up in here, I would ultimately start to look for distribution in here, okay? That's ultimately what I would start to do, right? Distribution, and then I'd see if I can take this down to a spring, all right? Or at least somewhere where, you know, I understand that price needs to return to. You know, on US 30, I'll tell you right now, US 30 and the S&P, my immediate focus is this right here. We are going to come down to this candle right here. And I'll go to the 5 minute because the 5 minute looks better. This candle right here is where we need to return to. All right. The S&P and US 30 need to come down here as well as NASDAQ, right? We had equal lows. This was that or that post-market manipulation. 9:30 is equities open. So this candle right here is when the market opens. We come within an hour and just grab liquidity and off to the races, right? So this is where we do need a return to. We have a Sunday gap. You know, we have a lot of room to come down to. So, you know, I was actually looking up in here this morning to try to sell it down. It just never happened. For me personally, I prefer the S&P, right? I think it's a cleaner entry, right? We have equal highs. I would like to see London maybe pop up. And I'm personally going to take it. You know, I have these two 15-minute candles right here. All right. You know, for all intents and purposes, this manipulation buy to sell was mitigated out by this. So now the focus is in here. And what I'm personally looking at is this 5 minute candle right here with a stop loss above here. Okay. So I'm looking, it's about a, we'll call it a 7-point stop loss with, with the spread. And my first area that I'm going to be looking at is the Sunday gap, right? I'm going to take it to the Sunday open gap, and be, just under a 10-1. And then ultimately my second area of focus is going to be right in here. Whether I take it, to the open where we have that imbalance, right? I mean, everyone should be able to see that imbalance right in here. But yeah, that's going to be my two areas that I'm going to be looking at. All right.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Quick question. Do you trade imbalances? Do you like looking at the imbalances? For example, on the S&P on the 45-minute, I see there's a nice imbalance right above those equal highs.
You mean, am I going to trade it off of the open of that? So I personally don't. I like going into the candle because for me, the imbalance is just, it needs to be filled, but it doesn't necessarily need, a price doesn't need to react off of it, right? So for me, I would be more, I'd be more interested. And the reason I moved my entry, this is the open of the 15. I moved it down to here just because I don't want to miss this trade. I'll give it, I mean, that's probably the difference of 1 point. I would like to see price mitigate out of this candle. I mean, ultimately, I'm pretty sure they're going to mitigate out of these 3 candles right here to sell off. Because when you're looking at it, right, this was the buy to sell. Price dropped below, then mitigated out of this right here. Okay, it didn't go to 50%, but as long as it's an attempt to mitigate out, that would suffice for me. So, I mean, I don't know if that answered your question. I mean, I use the imbalances, definitely. I use them more for targets than entries, right? And the whole reason, I mean, like where my entry is here would fall within that 45-minute imbalance, right? You could see the.
Yeah, I was just about to say, yeah, your 5-minute, that 5-minute falls, and I have that drawn up, waiting for that.
Yeah, but I personally look for the actual candle to mitigate off of. That's how I like to play it off. The US 30, same thing. I was looking up here. I just don't think we're going to get up that high. I mean, potentially maybe run up into here, but US 30 is typically the laggard. S&P and NAS are the leaders. And if you look at NAS, I mean, NAS is just showing it. I mean, NAS has no interest of going higher. To me, this is all redistribution in here. So the S&P for me is going to be the better play. Me personally, I think, So now the other thing I'm looking at is UCAD, right? And to walk you guys through UCAD real quick. So this morning, I don't know, is Victor on the call? Hold on, let's see. No, he's not. All right. I know he's got daddy duty. So me and Victor were talking this morning about UCAD, and here it is right here. I'll open it up real quick. So just to give you guys an idea of like my thought process, this is how I journal. So my thought process okay. So Steady called a sell on UCAD, right? So I marked it up and I just wasn't feeling it, right? So I personally didn't take the call. To me, this all in here is just an ugly reaccumulation, right? I mean, we're talking, I mean, that would be this is a type 4 reaccumulation. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the 4 types, but to me, this is just a very ugly type 4 reaccumulation. All right. And the fact that this manipulation happened here, where it grabbed liquidity, and then we're looking for it to come up and mitigate. I think Steady's call was off the open of that 15-minute candle. I didn't like it. To me, it just, if it happened, all right, it can leave without me, no big deal. So this is how it looked. And me personally, this is how I drew it up. We definitely had our creek. We had liquidity. This took liquidity here. Okay. And I wanted to see, my confirmations were I needed to see a break of structure. I wanted us to see this and then come back to mitigate out of whatever, whatever price action took liquidity out of here. And then my first targets would be these equal highs right up here. All right. So that's kind of how I was looking at it. Now we did, right, break of structure. Now I have two areas of focus, 2 5-minute candles that I'm looking at, right? And I have 2 take profits. This is what I'm looking at, right? Nice round number, 134,500, which are equal highs, and then 134,200, which are these equal highs. All right. And these are the 5-minute candles that I'm looking at, right? So this 5-minute and this 5-minute. So I'm going to give it 2 attempts. I would really favor this entry, right? This is the entry that I really favor. I'm going to give this attempt here, because I understand that if I take this loss, I'm going to make it back up with this one here. All right. So I'm going to give it the 2 attempts. I'm only going to be looking for this trade during London and New York. I'm not going to be looking for it like right now, but I'll show you what I'm looking at on UCAD, right? So here is UCAD, right? And when we look at the equal highs, right? These are the equal highs I'm looking at right in here. All right. This candle, these wicks right in here are the areas that I'm looking. Actually, no, my bad. It's 134,500. These right here. So these equal highs right in here is what I'm looking at targeting. Okay. As the overall. Okay. Overall. And I don't know if anyone's ever, if you guys have looked at the monthly on this, but I am, come on. There we go. But overall, we've got nice equal highs on the monthly that I would like to target as well. All right. So to kind of give you guys an idea, again, I'm looking at those 2 candles. Here we go. You can see the manipulation already happening, but I would like to play off of these 2 5-minute candles right here. This one here took some liquidity. It's not the greatest, right? But it's still worth. And then, we definitely had this one here. So these are the 2 I'm looking to play. These are my entries, stop loss just below the wicks, right? And the first targets I'm looking at are right here, which are these equal highs, all right? Take profit 2 is right here. So off the higher entry, it's almost a 9.5 to 1. Off the lower entry, it's almost a 16.5 to 1. All right. So these are the 2 looks I'm looking at. All right. I posted this in that Discord. Right. That's what I'm looking at for UCAD for tonight. The other thing I was looking at, and I don't trade crypto a lot. I definitely don't. But when an opportunity presents itself, I take it. So I'm still looking at targeting this imbalance up here. We had nice equal lows, market FU'd it. Now, all of this price action here is pretty well mitigated out. My focus is this 2-hour candle that has this imbalance. We have equal lows. So any run down, I'd be looking to take off this 2-hour. And ultimately, not to say that this is going to happen, but if I can fill the imbalance here at 11,750, that's a 16 to 1 on Bitcoin, right? Which is a nice payday. Even if not, there is a little bit of imbalance left in here that I would like to target. And at the very minimum, right? At the very minimum, these equal highs right here, right? Here, I'll tell you what, have you guys, that methodology book that Sam posted in the Discord, has the 2 types, right? Let me see if I can pull. I'm gonna give you now. It's not the most informative. I'm gonna give this. I'll post this link in the chat for the different types. Now it's, come on, as soon as it opens.
Just a random thought as well. Think and Grow Rich. It's $4.20 on Amazon Prime right now. It's a recommend for $5.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. All right. So here I will post I will post this link. It's not the greatest, but at least if you understand what you're looking at, it has all the different types, right? And it talks about, what you're looking for. This is just someone that kind of put it together, right? So I will post this link in the chat. There we go. All right. All right. So that's what I'm looking for Bitcoin, right? It's off the 2 hour, nice little setup right in there. And I mean, that's pretty much it. I'll kind of walk you through like what I am, dollar index, right? Let's just look at the dollar index real quick. So this morning I was looking at these equal lows to get targeted, right? You can see, let's just play this out off the 4 hour, right? I mean, beautiful accumulation, right? I was looking for us to react off of this 4 hour candle. We did that, came down, grabbed liquidity here, off these equal lows that were sitting right in there. So now what I would like to see is I would like us honestly to react somewhere off of this green box, right? Because this is where our last point of support would be. And I want to see if we do that, right? USD CAD? Yeah, sure. I'll pull it in. So what I'm looking for is this right here. I'm looking for us to react somewhere off of here to take this higher. And ultimately, if we can get, I honestly have no idea where we're going to go. I just know that we have some imbalance that we need to fill up here. We definitely have some, some price, action that needs to be mitigated out up in here. So who knows how far this is going to go up. But ultimately we did have a nice accumulation on DXY. Here, let me post UCAD real quick. So I'll tell you what, I will do it off the 30 minute and just know, actually I'll do it off the 15. Yeah. I'll do it off the 15 minute, just go to the 5 minute to find the candles, right? It's a pretty easy play. And here, I'll throw it in the chat for you guys. There it is. All right. So just running down my watch list, right? So this is kind of like what I'm looking at. I still have my order sitting up here off of this candle up here. We're a ways from it. I was looking, you can see, right? I was looking to buy on CAD, right? We had some accumulation being done. We exited the trading range, but immediately came down. We, for all intents and purposes, did do a spring. But for me, for me to take this test right here, I wanted us to break above these highs, right? Didn't happen. And just overall, this was just really crappy price action. One of the things I've learned, if it doesn't look clean and if it doesn't line up perfectly, I just move on, right? Because there's always something that you can do. Does FX Choice have DXY? I have no idea, Ivan. I don't trade the dollar index at all. I just use it to correlate euro and US dollar pairs. So I know some brokers do allow you, but the spread is ridiculous. Yeah. So that was that. Odd Chef, I was looking at as well. We were in accumulation. I was looking to see if we were going to take it down. So this was an example of me trying to take it down. It was a break even for me. I reacted. I mean, you can see right here, we reacted perfectly off of this last up candle that took liquidity. It did go 15 pips in profit before just hitting my break even. So Odd Chef was nothing. AJ, I was trying to see if I can get some sort of accumulation going. All the odd pairs, kind of just took off, right? AU, I really, really wanted. This was last week. And it just sucks. This happened on Friday. No, I'll get to it. It's right here. Yeah, I'll get to GU. Absolutely. Oh, for the love. Anyway, yeah. AU, this happened on Friday. I really wanted to get in on it and take it up. It just sucks. I don't like to trade over the weekend. CAD-J for me is just being stupid. I've been trying. You can see it's just an awkward accumulation. Yeah, it's just very awkward. I think the 30 minutes are better. Yeah. I do want to target these equal highs, but we've broken out of the creek and we're just kind of like, it's almost doing like bullish flag patterns, and I don't even know what you want to call this. What I really wanted was I wanted us to come down and sweep these lows, and then I would buy it up. At this point, I'm going to be looking for a sell, but if we take up here, I'm going to be looking for a sell up in here at this 30-minute. So CAD J is just looking sloppy. Euro, I was looking to see if I can get some distribution because I do want to target these lows. But it's just, it's not following suit. So like I said, I just move on, right? Here's an example of what I was looking for, right? Euro JPY, I wanted that accumulation. We were in the STNB. I didn't want us to trade up here, and I was looking for distribution in this area here, right? But when we come down to the 5-minute, it was a failed distribution, right? If this was our preliminary supply, buying climax, automatic rally, and then we just took off from there. So it didn't follow my distribution, so I just let it play out. I don't need to get into 5, 10, 15 trades a week. Realistically, I just need 2. If I can get 2 with a really, really nice ROI, I'm done, Now I will talk about this, right? I will talk about EU because I did catch a phenomenal trade on EU last week, right? I'll just come down to it. It's right here. So this is EU in distribution, all right? It's just pretty clean. The confirmation, right? Once we broke below this, which this wick did, right? I took it off of this 2-minute candle. And the reason I picked this 2-minute candle, it's the full body candle that had all the volume in it, right? If I would have done like the 5-minute candle, yes, I could have gone off of here, right? I could have done off of that. But you can see the difference between the 1-minute and the 2-minute. Oh, where did we go? Hold on. There it is. Yeah, you could see the difference between the 1-minute candle and the 2-minute candle, right? The 1-minute candle, this had all the volume, but then you have these 2 candles right here. So I want that one candle that has all of the volume, okay? So I'll just show you real quick. That way I don't have to keep going back and forth. But the 2-minute candle was the candle I wanted. My confirmation, as soon as we took this low, and that wick was enough for me to jump in, I took it off the test, right? And, ultimately, I didn't take everything out of the market that I wanted to. I left some on the table, but I did take partials, so that's all that matters. Ultimately, this gave almost a 5.5 to 1 ROI. I personally took partials right off of this last down candle, right? I closed out half of the position just because this is a smaller time frame, and it was in the middle of the range. Like if we come up to the 1 hour, right? I had these equal highs up here, right? I had these equal highs. So I was looking for the market to go higher. And if you just look at this, let me just delete this alert because this is acting a fool. All right. So we were kind of in the middle. And this is one of those things that I was looking to take the market lower to create that, if this was the secondary test in B, to create the spring. But it's a riskier play. All right. So I did take that EU. Like I said, I only walked away with, I think, like a 2 to 1 ROI just because I left some on the table. GA's not ready yet. Neither is this guy. Now here's another example real quick of higher time frame, right? So GN a while ago, we got a good move on GN, right? I did get into accumulation in here on this backup off LPS, right in here. We definitely did have our signs of strength, and I was looking at this 4-hour candle, right? I think Henry, if you're on here, yep, Henry's on here. Henry's the one that actually gave this to me this morning. I was looking at it, and I jumped in. Now I didn't take everything you did, Henry, out of it. So what I was looking at was, let me delete this thing. All right. You could see off the smaller time frame, right? Here's that 4-hour open, right? Off the smaller time frame, we had a really nice accumulation, right? Secondary test in B did test up to the top of the range. we did create a spring, right? And whether you got in, off of here. Now, me personally, I got in right here. This was my entry off of this 5 minute. Okay. And this is the setup. Okay. So I was risking, 7.1 with it was a 2 pip spread. So it was actually a 9. All right. And ultimately it did go 100 pips in profit. All right. I actually moved once this one candle, and this is a 5 minute candle. Once this one candle shot up, I moved my stop loss right up to here. Right. So as soon as that happened, and then the next candle just came down, and this was just news. Something happened with the pound, and that's what these two manipulation moves were. But all in all, I mean, it was a nice little move. I mean, from this candle to this candle wick, it's 95 pips, right? But I mean, that's what just happens. Sometimes you get that manipulation. But all in all, this was a really nice accumulation. And I think Henry sent it to me somewhere around here, and I told him, I was like, no, this is definitely the spring. I'm looking for that test, and that was it right here off of this 5 minute candle. All right. So from now, this is just, I would consider this. Oh, is that what it was? Yeah. Yeah. I was willing to take it, but now this is just failed accumulation. So we'll just let it play out. All right. So GU, right? My area of focus on GU. Delete that. So you can see I was trying to get some accumulation on it. So I was looking for distribution in here. I did sell it, but I broke even on it because it did go 19 pips in profit. This, where is it? This 30 minute candle is my area of focus right in here. This 30 minute candle. So ultimately what I want to see us do. All right. Sounds good, man. Absolutely. What I want to see us do is I want to see us distribute. Right now we're in no man's land, right? To me, this right in here is no man's land. Okay. Now, if we can start to build a clean schematic, then I'd be more interested in taking this, right? But only if we can do that. All right. Right now, this is just sloppy, and ultimately, I would like to get some of this price action filled in before we go up. You took it off the 1, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the only entry. This even if you took it off the 30 minute, but here's the 1. So King took it off of here, right? And this is the only entry. If you're in that entry, great. If you didn't get into that entry, then I personally am just going to wait for some more distribution. I'm going to see if, maybe we can clean up some of this and just wait for a cleaner distribution to take it lower. I'm going to wait to see if we can get up into this 30 minute candle to see it. Now I do believe that we are going to go lower. If we just look at structure on the higher time frame, I mean, we are bearish, right? We are bearish. If we come to the daily, one of the things, this is the weekly open, right? That's where I was kind of hoping to get that spring into the weekly open. But right now, I mean, I don't know, the pound across all pairs is just really, really sloppy. It's throwing wicks everywhere, and I'm not about that. I don't like to throw money away. If you, obviously if you got into that entry, great, you're protected. I mean, heck, you're, at one point you were 78 pips in profit. So you're sitting about 35 right now. That's a really clean entry, really clean entry. But all in all, that's what I see right now. For me, it's a failed accumulation. I'm just going to wait to see what we do in here. And I got nothing. I'm just going to take that off because nothing. Now, the only thing I have on my visible radar for you, Chef, is this last down candle down in here still, right? That last down candle down in there, we're like 80 pips away from it. So for you, Chef, that's like 5 weeks. 90 pips. We're 90 pips, right? But the fact that we left these equal highs up here are going to be my targets. And this may be like one of those, I very frequently get into a swing trade, especially on a schematic or anything. But, I mean, heck, if I just take it off that open, I mean, we're talking an 18 pip stop loss. And if I could take it up to these equal highs, I mean, that's a 10 to almost a 10 and it's a little over 10 and a half to 1. All right. But I'm not going to just take it off of there. I'm going to personally wait till we trade down into here. But this, I have my alert here. I'm ready for it. I know we have to return to that. So that's what I'm personally waiting on. All right. I'm waiting on UCHF to come down there. And then again, same thing, gold, right? Gold, I was looking for some distribution to happen in here so I can sell it down. And you can see like on the smaller time frame, right? Smaller time frame, I was looking for it. We started to get it. The fact that we came up and didn't trade back down, you know, all of this is just slop, right? This is just slop. So I'm personally not looking at it. All right. But all in all, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's all I've got. You know, UCAT is really all I'm looking at right now, and the indices, right? And the indices. You know, SPX is probably the one, you know, and I don't envision this happening until like London, right? London, and then maybe that New York, we get the sell off. So that's ultimately what I'm looking at. Nothing else is really coming out for me yet. You know, it's still early. It's only Tuesday, and it's NFP week. So I'm imagining that we are going to get some sideways movement, you know, today, tomorrow, and Thursday until Friday. All right. You think UCHF may be accumulating on the 5-minute? I'll take a look real quick. I'm not too. I mean, it could. Me personally, I don't like to trade this during this time. I mean, maybe London. Yeah, look at this. This is going to take out those lows. You know, the fact that we have the imbalance here, I would wait. You know, I would wait. One of the things I look for, like especially on smaller time frames, if I'm going to get into a smaller time frame, I need a point of interest, right? So I would need to find something in here worth a focal point with, right? So what I would be looking for is, you could see we had equal lows and we had this down candle and then price moved away. So I would try to find the volume of that candle. Looks like that 15-minute. All right, man, Ivan, have a good one, bro. Yeah, and this is just all sloppy. I personally, if it was me, I would wait for time to be right. I'd wait London, New York. Once we get into this imbalance, then I'd start to look for some accumulation. But like I said, my main focal point is down in here. You know, my main focal point is down in here. You know, well, that's pretty much all I'm looking for. You know, I don't know if you guys are looking at anything. If you want to share your charts, you know, I can kind of look them over. You know, I can't look at every chart. So, you know, sometimes I miss stuff. You know, I kind of just glance through real quick stuff that I was looking at. You know, I haven't looked at oil for a while, but I was looking for oil to accumulate, and I just never did. So, yeah, no, I haven't looked at oil in a long time. So, awesome, man. Awesome, King. Well, that works. Well, listen, if everyone's good, I am going to call it a night, because I'm going to jump in the shower real quick, and I'm going to turn on these debates, grab some popcorn, and listen to this thing. I will post, if you guys want to review this, man, I will post it in my YouTube channel. Just, you know, you can look it up there. All righty. Awesome. You guys have a good night. Enjoy. And I'll catch everyone later, man.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep. Have a good one.